Welcome to another episode on Ambukisha, Kariuki and Eddah as usual. And my guest today, Suji, introduce.
Hi everyone, I'm the said guest today. I am Eddah Wangui Derito, and I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Eddah.
Thank you.
Eddah.
Or whatever you want to call me.
But Eddah Wangui Derito.
Yeah.
Pleasure to have you on studio today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where to start. You Mary University, computer technology.
You didn't have to start there, man.
It's as good a place to start as any.
It's a
Mary
typical
University,
village,
computer technology, first year, discrete mathematics, all the way to today. A certified high-tech fishmonger.
All right.
I want to hear the whole journey. I want to hear the whole journey. You're a project manager today in a cold logistics company that deals with you sell fish on top of other things. Very interesting journey, and I want to hear all about it and get to know who's Eddah, what does she believe in, and if she was flying out of the country tomorrow and she had one thing to tell us, what would Eddah tell us?
Okay,
Where do we start?
We start from here. First of all, it's very unfair that you called me a certified fishmonger, but hey.
What do I call you?
You already know my name. My name is Eddah or Eddah. Why do you have to call me a certified fishmonger? Anyway, that's not the point today. So now, you mentioned Mary University, but maybe I can give a brief background before we got to Mary University. So I'm a typical village girl. I was born in the village. I was born in Laikipia County. I think the highlight that I remember about my primary school lifestyle in the village was most people never used to wear shoes. And so when my mom would buy me shoes to take to school, I'd feel out of place. So what I used to do is I'd leave home with my shoes on. Then on my way to school, I'd remove my shoes. Because everybody, you remember, okay, maybe you can't relate, but where I grew up, we would go tulikuwa tunaenda kwa njia tukiitananga, like we are going to the same school, so that we would accompany each other to school. So everybody else whom I'm going to school with, they don't have shoes on. So why me? So I'd remove my shoes, and then stupid me, instead of maybe carrying my shoes to school for their safekeeping, I'd hide them in a bush. And then on my way home, I'd collect them and put them on. So that now my mom would know that I never had shoes all day long. Yeah, I think that's a highlight that I remember about my primary school life. So I schooled in the village. It was just a typical day school that I think I enjoyed life there. And then I moved on to a boarding school in Nyeri. Then now I proceeded to high school. Now, when I was in high school, as I said, I am a typical village girl. And you know, in the village, I'm not very old, but back then, we used to have very few people going to the university and, you know, to study all this. We used to see them like very high courses. So we had a guy in our village who went to school to study something to do with computers. And I remember being very intrigued, and I was like, yeah, I think I'd like to do something along those lines. So when I was in high school, I think I wanted to do something that is either in engineering or in computers. So when I completed high school and I got my grade, I remember I couldn't get to an engineering course because my cluster was a bit lower. So then you remember I had two options. I settled for computers. So I settled for computer technology. That's where now Mary University comes in. So during the application, so that I hope you guys will not calculate my age, but during our time it was, is it called CUSPs or what is it called?
Yeah, CUSPs.
Yeah, as we never found job, so it was CUSPs. So when I was applying for my course, I remember, see, now I've settled I want to do something to do with computers. So I remember thinking, IT is very common, computer science is very common, but there is this one, so I'll do my simple research. There's this one course that is called computer technology. So did I even know the difference between computer technology and maybe computer science and IT? No. but I just have to stand out. Why am I doing such a common thing? And I remember when we were doing the application, I think at the time computer technology was only being offered in for institutions. So I think it was TUK, was it Maseno or Maseno Mliro, I can't remember. And I think JKUAT and Meru. So we had to choose one course, 3 institutions. So I listed 3. I think I listed TUK, JKUAT and Meru, only for me to be selected to go to Meru, which I was okay with. So that's how I ended up taking computer technology in school. And that's how I joined Meru University, only for me to find that one of the units that I was taking for year 1, semester 1 was discrete mathematics. And I will tell you for free, that made me reconsider You know, the other day, just this month, a guy that we used to school in Meru sent me a short clip of, I think it was something to do with discrete mathematics, and that thing triggered a thing in me that, oh my God, yeah, I almost cried. Anyway, so I got to Meru University, get to class, and I realized maybe I bit more than I could chew, because now we've gotten to class. This is a male-dominated field. So we are in class day 1. We are about, I think, 60 to 70 of us. But ladies, we are less than 10. And I was like, am I sure I'm making the right choice? And you know, just before I joined Meru University, my dad had asked me this question. Are you sure you don't want to take this course? Like, how did you settle on this course? So how do I explain to my dad that, by the way, I was, but I can't remember how I managed to convince him, but I did. And so I get to school, and I realized by there, this thing is not easy. But do I have a chance to go back? Because you remember that conversation I had with my dad, and he never said it out directly, but it looked like, if this is the path that you are going to take, then take it to the end. Like, you don't have a second choice. So yeah, I think I didn't have a way out. I've settled for this, so I have to take it. And so I went through campus. I think first year was a bit rough for me, because I had to figure out what is this thing that I've gotten myself into. Because I remember when we were during our first year, there's some guys who already knew what they're getting themselves into.
First year, computer technology, fully committed, no way out.
No way out.
Because back home, you've already been asked.
Like, sure? Are you sure? Yeah, and
I'm sure. You get there, you realize, wow, there are people who actually know computer technology, and they'd prepped for it. First year, some already know coding. How do you catch up? How do you keep up?
So now I'm in my first year, and I remember, well, the first class that I ever attended was, I think, intro to computers or something. And so I expected that when we get to class, the first thing that we are going to do will be introducing what is a computer, what does a computer do, maybe advantages and disadvantages. So in my head, I knew I was ready for this. Only for us to go to class day 1, and we are told to, so the teacher takes us back to high school, and she asks us, did you cover this thing in physics? And we're like, yeah, because I think physics was a requirement for the computer technology course, and we're like, yeah, we did cover this. So can you derive this formula? I'm like, dude, what happened to introducing computers? So yeah, I think I and maybe some other people in the same class, we were thrown deep into the ocean. We had to find our way to the shore. We had to, like, did we have an option? No. So I think along the way I figured it out. Plus also, I think the way the curriculum was set up, it never expected you to be, to already know how to code. It should have been an advantage, but there were also, a way to be introduced into it, and then I had to put extra effort into catching up into what those other people already know. Spoiler alert, I never grew interest in coding till date, but yeah, at least I have an idea of what actually happens. It's something that I can do if I had a gun pointed to my head, but I just don't like it. Yeah, so campus happens. Along the way, I figure it out well, nobody has life really figured out, but I tried to understand what this is really that I got myself into. Had fun along the way. With, party a lot. I didn't say that. Yeah, so had fun along the way. And yeah, I think campus was good. I can't really say that it wasn't that good. It was good. Meru was good in as much as it was a little too remote for our liking, but hey, we survived. And I graduated with a degree in computer technology. And now there I was proving to my dad that actually I could do this.
Yeah.
So I graduated, and the Kenyan typical life, once you graduate, you move to the city to figure it out there.
Yeah.
I don't know who told us that we can't get maybe jobs in these other towns, but yeah, I moved to the city to try and figure it out there. So when I got to the city, there was this family friend of ours who had a company. I really never understood what the company was about. But yeah, so I gave him a call. And I told him I'm just at home. Can I come? He said, yeah, you just come. So I went. So this you just come, he offered me internship at his organization. So unfortunately then, his organization did not have an IT department. So at that time, I think I was just doing everything and anything. But I think I was more into finance, and I remember realizing that, by the way, this shit, I just can't. Like, what is this? You looking at numbers every day? I can't. Ata really coding nilikata.
So when you got the internship, you had to do some bit of finance.
Instead of staying at home, like, and I remember I'm the one who called this person. So I figured that would be a good opportunity. So yeah, I started working there. It's the same place that I am right now. The organization has actually evolved. So it's an organization that really leverages technology in its operations. I'll not give details about its operations, but it really leverages technology in its operations. So I remember they had a system that when I joined the organization, they had developed this system that they were not really using at the time, because I think it never give a solution to their needs. So that is the system that we've been working on over time to try and improve it. So it's an all-round system that provides a solution to everything that they need. Is it order placement? Is it e-commerce? Is it inventory? Is it accounting? It does all that. So that is the system that we've been trying to improve over time. So that's how I grew my role in that organization. As you mentioned, I remember you called me a certified fishmonger. It's an organization that deals with cold chain logistics, and we also sell white meat products, majorly fish. So I think that's why you're calling me a fishmonger. But my role is more into tech and managing the project, the system that I was mentioning about. Yeah. So that's, I think I've answered your question from discrete mathematics to
fishmongering.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You mentioned fun in college.
Please don't.
How did you survive? Because I know fun in college, especially for young girls, some don't survive the fun in college. How did you survive?
Saja.
Sasa ndio unamkumbuka.
But yeah, so when I was in first year, I remember I mentioned that when we got to class, I think it was a realization that dawned on to us, all females to that class. I think we were about 8, and we were about a class of about 60 to 70 people. So number one, we had to form a community, because I mean, we only got us. So number one, it's like we had to form a community and try figure out this tech thing. Number two, we used to encourage each other a lot. In fact, I think most of my close friends right now, are the friends that I made in campus, and most of them are from our class, and if not from our class, they did computer science. So it's people that we could really relate a lot with, and then we formed sort of, it was not formally formed, but we just found ourselves in like a community that we had to hold each other accountable, you know, to try and get through. So yeah, throughout the fun, I'd thank luck. Somehow I was lucky to some extent, but I had close allies. Yeah.
Wow. I believe, I really love the idea of community. And at all levels, like friends can be a community, sometimes they are a community at work. So I'm sort of curious when you mentioned this community that you had in college. So what in the beginning there was no fun. There was just like, we need a community. What was the community formed around, or was it what brought you all together other than being female?
Okay, so what brought us all together was the situation that we found ourselves in. Remember, I mentioned that some people already had figured out the tech thing. I'm not mentioning gender roles, but it was mostly the male guys. They had liked tech from high school. They had started coding and everything. So by the time they were joining first year, they were very excited about this whole thing. They already know what their end goal in this whole thing is all about. For most of us females, I think we didn't really have that figured out. It was not about gender. It was just about a situational type of thing. We found ourselves in that situation. So when we found ourselves in that situation, we just had to, you know, we found ourselves bonding because we are trying to, you understand my issue. You understand that if I do not understand this C++ thing very well, then you understand where I'm coming from. So that whole combination of things, we found ourselves into this situation. We've not really figured this thing out. Then we found ourselves bonding over that. Yeah. And you know, I've been keeping tabs with most of these ladies that we went to school with. Some of them are very close to me, and I think I can say they're doing very well in their tech careers. Yeah. So I think that community that we had in school has actually yielded something.
And you're also doing very well in your tech career too.
Thank you.
You're a project manager now. So that means you get to, I don't know, in my mind I think of project managers as the people who get to tell the coders what to do. So you sort of went into this male-dominated field and understood it enough to where you can now start to order these guys around who knew all about coding. Was that intentional?
Well, I'd put it this way. Remember, I told you from the word go, I really never liked coding. So I tried to the tech industry is very wide. There are a lot of things that you can do in tech industry. So if you do not like coding, you can find your way into a different thing that you are more comfortable in doing. And so myself, that is also I think what happened. I never really liked coding. So I tried to navigate my career towards being in the same industry, but not really coding. Yeah, that's how I found myself in project management.
Where does that come from for you? Like the need to prove yourself in these male-dominated fields and to prove your dad and to be like, you know what? There's no way out here. I have to go through this.
Okay. So, number one, you remember I mentioned that I'm a typical village girl.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to say this, but I think it's to some extent very true that in the village, most people never got an opportunity to go to higher institutions of learning. And so if you got an opportunity to go to a higher institution of learning, you did not really have a chance to fail. Like, this is a very rare opportunity that has been offered to you. so many people are sacrificing so many things for you to be in that for you to have that opportunity. And so you have to look into that and remember that I cannot let these people down. That is number one. Number two, from the same village perspective, I'd not want to go to that village and the lifestyle that we were living, that you wake up in the morning and you go to the farm to try and till the land, and that's where all your food comes from. So number two, that's not a place that I'd want to go to. So I had to put in work, just not to go back there, just to be a motivation to these other young girls in the village. And especially, as I mentioned, most people in the village don't get a chance to get this opportunity, especially ladies. So I had to show these other ladies who are behind me that this thing is possible. You can go to school, as we mentioned, have fun in the process, but also be careful in your own way, and come out victorious. And maybe get into the job market and get a job for yourself. So that's the second thing. Like, I just had to do it. I did not have an option. And I'd not want to say this out loud, but also you remember my dad asking me that question of whether I am sure this is what I'd want to do. I'd also want to prove a point to him that sure, this is what I'd want to do, and I can actually do it. So and I actually did it. So also, fun fact, I never mentioned this, I am the only daughter from our family, and so being the only daughter and venturing into a male-dominated field, most people expected me to be to have how would I put this, my characteristics to be more feministic. I think my mom is so much ladylike, so I think most people expected me to take after her and be so ladylike, and to do ladylike things and to dress elegantly. I am so sorry to them, that never happened.
What values did you pick from your dad that helped you navigate that journey through college and even like in your work now?
So my dad is very straight. I don't know whether he gets that from his career or he's just like that as a person. He's very straight, and I think that sort of intertwines into him being very focused. Like, he's very straight that if that's what I want to get, that's the point that I want to get to, he just has to. And so I think I have some sort of that. Well, I don't really pick a lot of my characteristics from my dad other than my physique, but that I get it from him.
The focus. Okay. And so when you go to college, despite all the challenges and the daunting reality that, wow, I'm not as ready for this as other people are, in that situation, your mind just goes into focus, like, but this is what I'm here to do.
I just have to get to the end. I just have to get this degree. Whether I'm ready for it or I am not, I just have to figure it along the way. I just have to get ready along the way, and I have to get this degree.
How does that help you in life now and at work? So it sounds to me like a very simple question, but clearly you're having a strong reaction to it. Like, this focus that you got from your dad, this determination to just, that's where I'm trying to get to and I'm going to get there. Now I'm even more curious because I thought it was a question that is straightforward. How is that serving you or not serving you in your life now and at your work?
Okay, well, as you said, it might sound very simple for you. Might not be very simple for me. However, this is how I choose to see it. The focus that I have gets me through most days. Like, I'm able to differentiate me feeling bad. This is just an example, probably about my job, but then I'm able to overcome that from the focus that I have. And sometimes you when you're doing work, you get a detour and you're like, is this what my life is made up of? But then I instantly get to focus, and then I realize, actually, and then I remember this is something that I actually chose for myself, that I really wanted to do. And so I'm able to focus for that. Yeah, so in some way it has worked out for me. I think that's what I'd say. Has it worked against me? Yeah, it has. I think you probably know this, but there's a time I just woke up and quit my job. And the whole reason, most people actually tend to think that it was for nothing, but deep down it's because the job was not serving my purpose. Like what I really wanted to get to, that job will not get me there. And so I felt like, why am I wasting time here? Like if I'm wasting time, I can as well waste time in other things, because overall I'm just wasting time, you know. So it has somehow worked against me in some level of my decision making. If you ask me on a really deep level right now, that was not the best decision, but I don't regret it. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say focus works for me on most of the occurrences, but on a very few instances it hasn't worked for me, and you know, my whole decision making process. Yes.
So when you're making that decision to quit your job then, and to say, I know I'm a very focused girl, and I know when I want to get to where I want to get, I find ways to get there. But with this one thing, at least for now, focus won't serve me now. That determination to get to this one spot won't get me there now. What was speaking to you within you to make you, like, to find the courage to make that decision then?
So if I really remember at that time, when that thought of me leaving my job, then I was really feeling deeply that this job is not getting me there. However, I had so many things that were weighing me down at the time that were making me really reconsider my decision. So number one was people's perspective. And by people, I think I mean parents. By parents, I mean my dad. Like, what would happen if I said, no, I do not have a job, and why don't you have a job? I just woke up and I just quit. So such things were really weighing me down. But then I realized it's about me, it's about my career path, it's about where I want to get. It's not about them. So yeah, at the end of the day, I was able to make that decision. But definitely, the whole process getting there was not easy. And I actually never talked to anyone. I just decided, you know, I knew if I talked to anybody, everybody would be against me quitting my job. And that's not what I wanted at the moment. I just couldn't. So I just made the decision. At that point, people's perspectives, and you know, my dad's perspective, which I have carried all the way from campus, I was somehow able to put it behind me. Yeah, you've probably noticed by now that I struggled proving myself. Yeah.
But for this one time, you don't care about proving yourself.
Yeah, I just didn't care.
You just listening to Eddah. Eddah.
What?
I love Eddah more than Eddah.
Okay, just go
Eddah
with
is so bougie.
Maybe I'm bougie.
You definitely are.
That's village girl can be bougie.
There's no high-tech fishmonger who isn't bougie.
Oh my God.
Anyway,
yeah.
For the first time, it sounds to me. No, maybe not for the first time. I think for the second time. Because the first time is when you say, I saw this boy go do computer stuff in college. I want to do this computer stuff. And the question comes up, are you sure? And you're like, hell yeah, I'm sure. Then this other second time, I'm going to listen to myself. So that self-trust and that ability to listen to just you and shut off the world So you didn't listen to anybody, you didn't care what anybody was gonna say. Where does that come from?
So I'd say, number one, as you've highlighted, the first time, I really never went against the wishes of my father. I just chose a path for myself. So his question was only, are you sure? And you know, that are you sure question forced me to prove to him all throughout my education life in campus that yeah, I was sure and I can actually do this. So yeah, it might seem like I stood out for myself, but in the process of standing out for myself, something else followed up that, you know, sort of makes it look like I never stood out for myself. But hey, I chose to look like I chose to look at that like motivation to carry me through. Because honestly, I think I'd have given up in first year during that discrete mathematics class. You know, it was crazy. But then I had to prove myself. I had to be sure that this is what I wanted, this is what I still want, and this is what I'll want in future. So yeah, that not really standing up, but the question that followed after, you know, helped me push through. So it was also a blessing in disguise at that moment. He probably doesn't know, or he probably knew when he was asking that question, but it actually pushed me through campus life. And I said the course wasn't easy. So yeah, I had to put extra effort. When people were having fun, I had to probably be studying, which was okay. I did that and I appreciate that right now. In terms of being able to quit my job, as I've said, it probably wasn't the best decision that I made, but I don't regret it. But I feel like it was also a breakthrough for me to realize that this is my life. This is not my parents' life. This is not my dad's life. He has lived his to his full potential or to his best ability that he could. I am sure even if I do not know things, he also made mistakes along the way, you know, because he was also a human being. So I can also live my own life. I don't have to live life dependent on his approval, you know. I can also live my own life. I can make my own mistakes, which is okay. First of all, that process of learning that making a mistake is okay because I'm also human and I'm allowed to make mistakes. That was the first step into realizing that this is my life. I am living my life, not his. He has lived his own. Yeah, so coming to that realization that this is my life, I have to make my own decisions. I have to make my own mistakes. I have to figure a way of correcting my own mistakes without being dependent on him or his approval. I'd say that was my stepping stone. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
The question that comes to my mind is, you made the decision by yourself. I'm going to go do computer technology for your own reasons. And your dad's question, are you sure? It triggered your drive to prove yourself. Where does that need come from? At such a young age, where does that need to prove yourself come from?
Well, that's a difficult question that really requires some digging deep. But I'd like to think it comes from a point of where the way you are repositioned, you just have to succeed or succeed. Like there is no way out. And so if you have to succeed, for example, in future, the decisions that you make right now, they really control you succeeding. Let me put it this way. While we were in school in campus, the people who used to do, not trying to disapprove business courses or anything, but the people who used to do, for example, business administration. They seemed, I do not know, I was not in their shoes, I was not in their class, but they seemed to have maybe a simpler life compared to somebody who was doing, let's say, engineering. For somebody who was doing engineering, they were always in class. This other person, they're even using real life examples. There are these jokes that we usually say, especially on social media. for example, for history, points in zile poor infrastructure, language barrier, you know. So they would recycle that same knowledge even in their exams and everything. But for us, maybe in tech courses or in engineering courses, we did not have that luxury. You just had to know or know, you know. And so I think that question, when my dad was asking me, are you sure? Maybe would have chosen, I am not sure, but I am trying to think maybe this is where he was coming from. Maybe would have chosen a path that is a bit simpler, which is easy to make it, rather than this so complicated. And you know, maybe for him, he never really understood what computer technology is all about, given that his generation and, you know, the careers that they had, he probably never knew or never had a better understanding of what computer technology is all about. So I think I'd like to think that when he was asking that question of whether are you sure, maybe he was insinuating towards that you would have chosen a simpler course that is so easy for you to make it than this thing that you're getting yourself into. Yeah.
But that's not what you wanted.
Yeah. That's not what I wanted. I mean, remember when I told you when I was in high school, I knew it was either engineering or a tech course. So as I was saying, when plan A doesn't work out, then you go for plan B. So when he came with his, he never said out loud, this is just my assumption, but I'm thinking when he came up with his plan Z, there's no way I was about to skip C to Y to get to Z, you know. And so I just had to go with it. Yeah. And I'd say it worked out for me. I am great. I do not regret it. I'm grateful. I do not regret it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's one question that is still not answered in my mind.
Just ask it.
Self-trust.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, these are my plans,
Mm-hmm.
A and B.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else's, and nobody else has a say in that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me like something you got very early, at least as early as high school.
Mm-hmm.
And most people will look externally to their parents. Some people will actually beg their parents to help them choose a course. Parents will look for mentors like, go talk to Eddah, she's done computer technology, to help them make the choice.
Mm-hmm.
But you just had it in you. And so this story started with a boy went to do computer. Was that crush that strong? Or what was going on there?
Actually, no, there was no crush actually. It was just admiration.
You admired them.
Mm-hmm.
Enough to decide, this is the course I'm gonna do. Doesn't matter what my dad thinks.
Mm-hmm. Plus, it's also something that I had deep within me. I think he just assured me that, you know, it's actually possible. And from your question about self-trust, I think I've mentioned my dad so much in this whole conversation. Somebody might wonder, where is your mom in all this? So I remember when I was in primary school, the later years of primary school, maybe it's not noticeable on camera, but I'm quite tall. And so when I was, I think in maybe class 6, 7, 8, I used to be most probably the tallest girl in class and most probably the tallest person overall. And so I started realizing it. And so my mom started assuring me at a very early age that it's okay to be tall. You actually look very nice in your height. You look like a model. And so what I'm trying to get with this is that my mom used to assure me a lot. She used to affirm me in almost everything that I did, that I'm actually in the right path. This is very much okay, you know. And so I think she got that into me, that I could be able to make a decision and I would know this is okay. I never realized it then. I actually came to realize that as an adult, that my mom really affirmed me. She got me into a place where I feel confident in myself. I feel confident in my decision making. I feel confident in whatever I do. And if it was not right, then I'll deal with the consequences later. At least I can justify why I was doing this, you know. And so that's how the self-trust came about. And so even when I was making that decision, I wasn't feeling hesitant about it. Because I knew this is right, I can make this decision. It's okay to make a decision for myself. And if the decision turns out not to be okay, then it's okay. Then I would understand, why was I making this decision? What was my thought process then? Exactly. So the self-trust was built that way. It was something that was done over the years. I just came to reflect about it the other day. And I realized I think that is something that was built in me by my mom, which I'm very grateful for.
She sounds like a wonderful woman.
She's to my eyes, she's
Hi,
an
Mama
angel.
Eddah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that sounds like a wonderful childhood. On the one hand, you have a mom who's building your self-trust. On the other hand, you have a dad who's modeling to you focus and determination.
Balance.
There's that balance there. What did you pick from your brothers? How many?
2. Oh, I have 2 brothers. Wow. So I have brothers who are very different in terms of character. Our firstborn, how would I describe him? He's more held down. He's not all over the place. Ngoja. Hiki mtu anaitangwa nini? Extroverted. Oh.
And you've stopped recording?
No.
So yeah, so our firstborn brother is a little too introverted, which is okay. That is his character. It fits into him. He brings balance. Then our second-born brother, I think typical of many children, is very extroverted. He's spoken out. Also, he was very bright in school. And I'd like to think, okay, we usually told not to describe ourselves, but I'd like to think I am a little mix of both. A little more extroverted, but I'd like to think myself as a balance of both.
Your siblings.
Oh,
What did you pick up from them?
You were talking about siblings. So I was talking about their characteristic, and I was saying our firstborn is very introverted. Our secondborn, he's extroverted. So I tend to think that I'm a balance of both. But I'd also want to say that my siblings really shaped my campus life, given that they had gone through it before. So they knew a thing or two. They knew a few do's and don'ts about campus. So for example, I remember when I was enrolling, so we were all busy applying for the HELB loan. And I remember our middle, like our second-born, telling me, if you want a good life, leave that HELB loan alone. So at that point, I was like, why can't you don't want me to have fun? Anyway, I listened to him. I never applied for the HELB loan. I have never been more grateful now that I am working and I can see my colleagues being deducted money. You know, it's a good thing if you used that money vizuri. Like if you used to pay your school fees, you used that money to pay for your school fees and your upkeep. I am sure yangu singetumia kufanya hivyo. I'd probably be having sherehe vibaya sana. And so I'm so grateful that I never did that. Siku apply for HELB loan. So that's just one example, but they give me different advices. Is there such a word? Walinipatia different advice that helped me figure life in campus. And also right now, I can always go to them with a problem and they help me out. Be it monetary, be it psychological, be it in any way. If it's within their capacity, they'll be willing to help me out. So I'd say we have a good relationship with my siblings. Yeah, and I do not relate to when people say that they used to fight all the time with their siblings. It never happened to me. Probably it's because of the fact that mwenye nimefuata, there's a big gap between us. Maybe it's because of that, but it never happened to me. So me, I don't relate to that part. So I have a good relationship with them, then and now. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to hear what you picked from them, but it sounds to me like just good vibes and really solid advice.
Which I really appreciate.
And support at all times.
Yeah.
That's great.
Especially monetary when I was in campus.
Yeah.
You know. When I was in campus, they were already working. So I would always reach out. I'm like, sina sapa.
Then you didn't need help. You really didn't need help.
I agree. Sindio? Yeah. Ninge waste too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. What else do you want to tell us?
So this is what I'd want to say. Given that I'd like to call myself a woman in tech, and tech is a very wide field that keeps on evolving. evolving. We would like to see more women getting into the field, which we are currently seeing, and it's such a lovely scene. And we would like more of the women. So if maybe you are looking to get into tech, please feel free to do. I will add a but, not a bad but I will add a but and say you have to keep on constantly educating yourself about what is happening. I'll give an example of, let's say, cybersecurity. If you venture into tech and then you get into cybersecurity, then you have to keep learning a lot of things, because even the threat actors, they keep coming up with new ways of, you know, attacking your systems and your information and everything. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning and relearning. So I'd say, in as much as I do not like coding, the tech field is very wide, and there is a lot of space for women and girls, and we would like them to join us here. It's such a lovely space. Yeah.
Okay. And you got into it because of a boy you admired. Did you ever catch up with him? Did you ever catch a boy in tech that you admire? What's up?
Okay, so the catching up with him part, I already know what is happening in his life. I actively know how his life is evolving, how his careers are evolving.
Stalker. I'm just joking with you.
Sina account ya uongo, guys. So yeah, I can sort of say yes and no. I am catching up with him. Yeah, definitely, and we talk. So yeah, he probably doesn't know that he really shaped my career. I don't think I've ever said it out loud to him, but yeah, I already know what is currently happening in his life, and he's doing very good.
And have you found somebody for yourself?
Wow, what do you mean by somebody? I think I can't hear you clearly. Oh, sorry, what I said?
Have you gotten somebody yet, Eddah?
What do you mean by somebody? I think I can't hear you clearly. Moving on. Monene. Yeah, I actually have.
Someone you admire?
Well, this is how I'd put it. His career trajectory and mine are very different, but he's doing good for himself. So yeah. My brother, mwenye nimefuata, there's a 9-year gap between me and him. So what would happen is, when I'm, for example, in primary school, anamaliza high school. So me, when I am at home being beaten by my mom, don't do this, don't do that, I am all alone. I tend to think that growing up with a sibling, nile meachana na gap ya between 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. So if you're making mistakes, you are at home making those mistakes pamoja. Kama mnakosana, that sibling rivalry, hey, you know. But for me, it never happened, because they were way grown than me. Like, atungekosania vitu kidogo kidogo. Wao, they're past that. So I tend to think that most times I have sort of grown up alone, by meaning I was just alone at home when they were already gone. Like, for example, me, when I am in my late primary, they're already in campus. So me, tukifunga shule nikikuja home, I'm all alone at home. They're not coming. When maybe I'm in campus, they are grown people, probably with their own families. So me, nikifunga shule nikienda home for maybe long holidays, I'm all alone. They're married people, and I cannot relate to their issues at that time. So that's why I quote unquote say that I sort of grew up alone. Yeah.
How does that like factor into your ability to relate and open up and just like connect with them or with even new people?
Okay, so them being way grown than me, of course they would always refer to me as their baby sister, or they would show me love in very different angles, and I would always feel loved, and so I would always feel like I could trust them, and so the relationship has always been there. They did their own thing that I never realized then, but I can realize now that I'm all grown that they actually showed me love, and so it was so easy for me to trust them and to feel safe around them. Yeah.
Okay. What is the, like, that feeling of growing up alone? Like, does it manifest at all now?
No, for me, no. I haven't pinpointed something that shows me that this is as a tendency of growing up alone. Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel just like everybody else who had their siblings around. The only thing that I feel like I missed out is fighting with my siblings. You know, there's a friend of mine who had her hand broken by her sister.
Yeah.
When they were young, I never got to experience that. Yeah.
And that's what you wish you'd experience sometimes.
Yeah. It seemed like it could be fun, you know. When you hear now telling stories of how they used to fight with their siblings, it feels like it was fun then. Yeah. But I don't feel like that is something that really affects my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I think you are probably the most emotionally healthy person I've ever interviewed.
I wish.
Yeah. Yeah, it's either that or you're hiding stuff. I don't feel like you're hiding anything.
I also
feel
don't
like
feel like
you're just emotionally healthy, which is rare because I've grown up around too many emotionally hurt people.
Oh. So sorry to them.
Yeah, so you know, it's like you had this great childhood, you got self-trust built in you, you had focus, determination modeled for you, you had love and support from your bros since you were young, even as you're growing up and even now as an adult. Not everybody got that. Not everybody gets that in life.
I agree.
I wonder what first, thank you for sharing that experience, because for someone who didn't get it growing up, it can be hard to even imagine that as a possibility, that one could just have a normal, healthy childhood and grow up and just be a well-rounded, healthy person. And that is beyond at least for me for a long time, even beyond what I can conceive with my mind. So it's not even a goal that I can work towards, even in therapy, because what do you mean, like, just healthy, completely healthy? And not to say that there are no challenges, that there are no struggles, that there are no difficult decisions sometimes and pain, but just that, just well adjusted. I think when I think of what you described it to me, it sounds like just a well adjusted person.
Oh yeah, you can put it that way.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank
because
you for having me.
people need to know that it's possible to be emotionally well adjusted and to just like be able to make mistakes and own their humanness and embrace failure, risk taking, self-trust, and just like striking off on their own path without looking even to their parents or to anybody for the direction they should take with their lives. That this is my life and this is where I'm going, and I trust myself enough to go off on that direction. So imagine a 10, 12, 13, 17-year-old me, emotionally scarred, doesn't know what healthy looks like.
Doesn't
Boy or
realize
girl,
that they are emotionally scarred.
don't even know they're emotionally scarred, and tell them something that allows them to start to move in that direction.
Okay, so just to wrap up this conversation, I think we've all come to a conclusion that it's something that happens. It happens that you can be emotionally adjusted. It happens that you can be okay emotionally, and this is a responsibility to all of us, especially in this era of social media. We are all trying to live to a certain standard, trying to copy these people that we see on social media, forgetting that these people, they only show us the good side of themselves. They only show us the very short clips of their lives, the part that is going on very well. So please do not feel pressured to be on a certain standard. You just do you, be you. And then also to parents, please remember that you really have a responsibility in how you shape up your child's emotional adjustment. Keep assuring them, keep passing on good vibes to them, keep encouraging them, and they will turn out okay. So thank you very much for joining us on this episode. Please follow us on our socials. I'm Vokisha, on your story. Thank you.